This week today. Yesterday, we talked about tornadoes, and today we're talking about hazards associated with thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms. Now, some of those hazards not only can be tornadoes, but of course, we typically get a lot of hail, damaging winds, and as well as lightning. Now, first off, we have to establish the alerts. A severe thunderstorm watch goes into effect, and they're usually issued in this pink shaded color. Now that means that the environment and the setup is ideal for severe thunderstorm development. Severe thunderstorm warnings get issued in this orange color. Now, a severe thunderstorm reaches severe criteria when we're talking about winds of around 58 miles per hour, as well as 1-inch hail. So this is the criteria that has to be set in place in order for severe thunderstorms to form and for severe thunderstorm warnings to be issued as well. Lightning's one of those big severe weather hazards. And in fact, annually, on average, around 38 deaths annually are attributed to folks outside fishing. 23 deaths attributed to folks over in the water at the beach. As far as being outdoors, most of lightning fatalities occur from people being outdoors, and the majority occur in men at about 80%, with 20% being women for those death or fatalities from lightning. Now, lightning forms when we kind of get an abundance of negative ions at the base of a thunderstorm that eventually discharges with a lot of positive ions at the ground surface. There are several types of lightning. We have intracloud lightning, we have cloud-to-cloud lightning, we have ground-to-cloud lightning as well. So a lot of different types of lightning, and even if there is no active weather outside and there's a storm far away, you could still get struck by lightning. Now, as far as precautions, it is always advised for you to wait until the storm moves out, at least half an hour before you head back outdoors. Another hazard is hail. Now, hail forms when we have a very strong updraft in a thunderstorm that pushes a small particle that eventually continues to acquire some moisture and some ice. Eventually, the size of that hailstone gets large enough that it overcomes the upward vertical velocity of the updraft and eventually falls, meaning that the weight of the hailstone becomes heavier than the force pushing it up, allowing it to continue to stay in a thunderstorm. Now, a hailstone can form by two different methods. We have a dry growth method, and we also have a wet growth method. Okay, the dry growth method is the process of deposition. Essentially, we go from water vapor to the solid state, or ice. And that hailstone, you can tell, will look a little bit more white or duller in appearance once it falls to the ground surface. But we also have the wet growth phase. This is a different type of way for those hailstones to grow in size and develop. So the wet growth phase is essentially just water droplets freezing on the hailstone. Now, the appearance of those stones and those hailstones, they'll look a little bit more clear and as well as shinier. And of course, you can measure hailstones by creating a hail board and measuring the size of a dent, or of course you can compare and contrast them to common objects, things like coins or maybe a tennis ball or maybe even fruit. Tomorrow we continue Severe Weather Awareness Week, and we'll talk about flooding.
Thanks, Jennifer. We'll check back in with you soon. Kendra Nelson at Amelia's Craft Market and Boutique is an abstract artist.
Coming up, TV6